next thing. If you, yeah, we're going to go to the web page. Hey, if you haven't registered to vote, Alex is here. He's going to be here after class. He'll help you register. So just come down to the front and see him. He's definitely here. And right now, we're going, Dr. Lori.
Hello, Sam.
Can you say something about what's going on, especially for people on the stream, to have an idea of, people see this big class here, but they don't know what's happening behind the scenes in terms of conversations and so on. So could you?
Yes, I can. So do we have the slide up for World in Conversation?
That's it. Yeah, we're just going to leave that one up.
Okay. So SOCHWA 19 partners with World in Conversation. In fact, SOCHWA 19 is the source of World in Conversation. So World in Conversation grew out of SOCHWA 19 back in 2002. So we have a long partnership. And so for people on the stream, what is true is that there aren't just conversations happening here. Everybody in this room is also in dialogue. So again, for the stream, people who are in this room do 2 dialogues a semester with World in Conversation. In the past, they used to do conversations every week. But things have changed, budgets have changed, and so there are 2 conversations that happen every student is a part of. So just to say, there's a lot of conversation happening if you're part of this class. There's also a group of students in this class, I think there's 13 of them, that are in a semester-long dialogue with me that's happening parallel to this curriculum. Wait, I thought it was somebody in the class. So anyway, there's a lot going on regarding conversation because it is powerful and important, and it's not just conversation. We actually, in our semester-long conversation, are solving a problem that we think, I'm seeing some of you right here, that for the Penn State community. We'll tell you about that another time. Do you want me to say more, Sam?
No, could you go to the next slide, or that slide with the map? So, we, over the years, World of Conversation has been around for almost 25 years. And we've worked all over the world, meaning that students here have had conversations with students and adults around the world.
Yes.
And these are most of the places. Yeah.
But what we're most excited about when it comes to World in Conversation, and Sam is one of our best students, actually, is the power of a facilitator to stop wars. And does that happen very often? No, because what I think is that most people do not realize that we have
You can't say that. We don't know how often it happens.
No, I said it doesn't.
Because we don't know how many wars are stopped.
We don't see it happening very often because we see a lot of wars and we don't see a lot of facilitators, mediators in the world. I mean, how many of you grew up saying, I want to be a facilitator, mediator when I grow up? Anybody? Okay. All right. Well, just to say, talking is a technology. We have the ability as humans, there are people trained, and we are also training them at World in Conversation, to take this role, which is a really powerful role that I am saying to you has the power to stop wars, and it's nothing that you know about because you don't even know that you could be one. And so I'm not going to say much more than that, but I am going to say this is what excites us about conversation, because not because just talking to each other creates understanding and empathy sometimes, oftentimes, and also we learn it's because we have the power to stop wars and we don't know it. We'll talk about that another time, though.
All right. Thank you.
That was one of those all rights, like, okay, you're done.
No. Hang on. No, here's the problem. What you're saying is so profound, really, that I know that when I was 20, 21 years old, I wouldn't have gotten it. But I see it. And I see it. It's what this has created this class. Yeah, so. What are you laughing at me for? All right. Can you go to the next slide? There actually is an interesting opportunity here. The WPSU is going to film a conversation about the elections. And it's going to be Tuesday, 8:30 to 10:30. You can pull down, you can use your phone and use that QR code if you're interested. But especially if you think you have...
Hey, wait, can I say something, Sam?
Yes.
One of the premises of the work of facilitators at World in Conversation is that we have to solve problems with our opponents. This is part of stopping wars, right? We have to build the world with our opponents. This dialogue, and the dialogues that you're in, those are just tiny, tiny, tiny windows. The dialogue that you're in is based on that, or this election dialogue is based on the idea that we want people, and we already have a good number of them, from different ideological, political views, and the conversation is based on that. Because again, we cannot build the world if we're not building it with our adversaries. And if you're interested in that, and you want to be part of that, get a taste of that, that dialogue would be for you.
Yeah, it's going to be very cool, and you will be facilitating it.
Yes, I will facilitate.
Okay, that's
and
the
you
best
can talk
part.
to me after class about any of that if you have any interest in being part of that.
Next slide. Let's do the. Let's do the quiz. No. What? It's okay. Don't worry about it. Okay. Let's go. You can go to the next slide. Hey, so the title, we have a title for today's class, but we're not going to say what it is until we get to the end. So TBA, to be announced. And we have 5 volunteers today, and we're going to start with you two. And in fact, we'll just start at the end. So we'll start with Matthew. So tell us about yourself.
Basically, introduce yourself.
Yeah. All right, so my name is Matt. I'm a sophomore in DUS, and my condition is called spinal muscular atrophy, and it's essentially just over time my muscles weaken.
Wait, can you say that beginning of that sentence again, the second one? Because you said that...
The name of it?
I'm sorry, I'm on your wrong side.
You're good, you're good.
Yeah, you called it your...
What?
I don't know.
Over time, muscles weaken.
Yeah, over time muscles weaken.
But did you call it a disease, a disability?
It is a disease.
You call it, it's a disease. Yeah. Okay, and that's the word you use?
Yes.
Okay, that's the one I didn't hear,
okay.
and
yeah.
it's kind of important,
yes.
I think. So, and what else would you say about yourself?
I mean, I try to live life as normal as possible, as much as it permits me to. Obviously, that's not always possible, but I try my best.
Can you give an example?
Going upstairs isn't easy. So yeah.
How do you do it? What happens?
Hopefully there's an elevator, I don't know.
But when you say I try to live my life to the fullest, what does that mean from your perspective?
Just trying to, like socially, trying to not, I don't know, like I know there were certain classes in high school where, you know, there's like the special education class. You know, I had the option to take that and take myself away from the rest of the population. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be in with, everyone else.
And what was a challenge of that made it slower? Somebody might suggest, oh no, you should be in this other group, other population.
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
It was just so clear to you.
Yeah.
I just want to be with everybody else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there anything else you would want people to know about you?
No.
What would your friends say about you?
Yeah, that's actually a good question.
You'd have to ask them that yourself. I don't really know.
Okay.
A lot of different opinions there, I feel like.
You don't even have a guess?
No.
Are any of your friends here?
No. I know a couple people from high school here.
Wait, you guys are friends?
What's up? Right there, yeah.
Hang on a second. Can we get
What's up, man?
can you answer?
Bro.
Do you have are you okay hearing?
Yeah.
There was a lot of enthusiasm there. Okay, so what would you tell us about this guy?
I would say he is cool as hell, he's funny.
Funny?
Freshman year, well, we had a friend that went here, but he doesn't go here anymore, who always used to help Matt out, and then we met him through him, and we used to just hang out all the time. He's cool as hell. That's what I would say. He's real cool, funny.
So did you
He
meet
doesn't
him?
care
You met in
about
the
it. Like
dorms?
he doesn't let his condition affect his everyday lifestyle. That's what I would say. Like he still fits in with us all the time. Like every time I see him on campus, I'm like, hey Matt, how you doing? Like he's so cool.
Oh, that's cool. Wait, can you tell us though? I mean, I want to hear from the others too. But can you say like how you first decided, like what you were drawn to in each other as friends?
For me, I don't know. I was introduced to him. I think it was like he's kind of like witty. I think it's that drew me to him. Like he's funny, kind of witty, and I didn't expect that from him, which is kind of like crazy because it's like you're judging a book by a cover. But then like when I seen his personality, I was like, whoa, this is really cool. Like it's crazy.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. I agree.
Like, oh yeah, we seen him at the Bowling Green game. We were like recording and stuff. He did an interview and everything. Yeah.
I did. I was dialed in there.
Yeah, he was locked in. He was locked in.
Do either of the rest of you want to say something that you would add? No? He said everything for you. Okay. Wait, is this like your crew or something?
Yeah, we're his crew.
Yeah.
We're his crew. So if you got a problem with me, you got a problem with me.
I low-key forgot. I forgot they were in this class. I'm not even gonna lie.
Very cool. Thank you.
No problem.
That helps a lot.
Who am I giving this to?
And can we? So we're coming back, but just Gavin, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you all can hear Gavin.
Awesome. Yeah. So first of all, I am definitely not as cool as Matthew. I have to say, honestly, man. I mean, so first of all, I'm Gavin Morris, and I am a freshman here at Penn State. I major in political science, and I minor in public administration. However, though, in January, see this bag here? Like, this basically helps my heart.
Before you say more, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
How many people noticed that bag? I'm curious.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, same. Yeah. I mean,
I thought it was binoculars. Actually, I was like, all right.
My dumb ass is like, oh, so you got a portable heart?
I mean.
Okay,
no,
so just about a third of the class noticed that, but okay.
Yeah, and it's kind of an invisible condition what I have. I mean, you'd think this is like a phone or whatever, phones or maybe whatever it is that's in this pouch, right? But it is a device that helps my heart pump blood more efficiently through it. Because in January, out of nowhere, like I was like a super healthy kid, everything was going good in my life, and then all of a sudden I was diagnosed with like heart failure. I have a condition called dilated cardiomyopathy, which is, you don't need to know the science of it, but it's just basically when something is stressing out the heart so much, so the heart compensates by expanding its own wall, like cardiac wall, its own muscle. Right, which inevitably causes the heart and the body, like organs in the body, to fail more, right? So it's kind of like it's like a kind of like a death spiral of things that happen, right? You know, with that kind of heart failure.
That's a pretty big statement, a death spiral.
It is, yeah, because it's kind of, I mean, like I'm not a medical, I'm not like a medical student or anything like that, but it's kind of like it reminds me of a defect in humans in general. When our hearts fail, we perpetuate, our bodies try to naturally perpetuate this cycle of it trying to fix itself that kind of makes itself worse and cannot function long term. So like what happened with me is that in January, all of a sudden my legs were swelling and I was out of breath, which to any doctor, to any medical student in here, that should be obvious symptoms of heart failure, those two things specifically. But to me, it wasn't. To me, it was just, I was sick and I had these things going on. I didn't know what was going on because I was healthy and I had no reason to assume that I would have anything really wrong with me, let alone chronic heart failure. So I ended up, do I have to go on?
I wanted to ask you, but before, I know I'm over here, but do you use, you said something wrong with me. Do you use the term something wrong with me for yourself?
Sometimes, rarely though.
Rarely.
Rarely.
Can you say the difference and why you wouldn't say it, and then Gavin does?
Again, my philosophy in life is just live as normal as possible. Mm-hmm. So I try to stay that way as much as possible. Yeah.
So for you to say there's something wrong with me would take away from you living as you.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And for you, something wrong with you means, what makes you say it that way?
For me, I literally kind of mean it like at base level, like it's just something that was wrong with me. It is a condition. Dilated cardiomyopathy, the condition that all this, I don't really consider it, it's not really considered a disease, or I wasn't born with it and it's not genetic, we know. So it's kind of this extra thing that was wrong with me, but however, how I view it, it's not something that's wrong with me and it defines who I am. I mean, I wasn't even really thinking about it. I got the email to do this yesterday, right? And I hadn't really, I've been going through Penn State for this last month since I'm a freshman, and I haven't really thought about my condition that much. Like I do things, like I take medicine for it and I do all these things, right? That kind of accommodate, but I don't think about it because they're normal to me, right? And other people don't necessarily see it, right? Because you wouldn't look at this and look at me and think, oh my God, he's a heart failure. He's someone whose heart is failing, right? You just don't think those things.
So I want to ask a question to both of you, and then we'll
open it up. Yeah.
Then we're gonna bring our other volunteers in. And I know you might not have said this exactly, but I think when we were talking about this, one of the things you said was you might need a heart transplant, right? In other words, you're facing mortality.
Correct.
And so the question for both of you is, how much do you feel like you're facing mortality when you're thinking about your conditions? Whoever wants to.
All right. Yeah, I think whenever I think about my condition, I also do think about mortality and I do think about death. Because, I mean, just the condition that I have in general, if you look at my statistics for it, but most people, when they're diagnosed, even if they have a pump like this, right, it's not like, oh, you might live till you're 40. It's more of like, you will be an exception if you live till that age, right?
You will be what?
An exception.
An exception.
Like a statistical exception, right? Just kind of lucky, I guess, in other words, right?
And that's what you're living with right now?
That's right, This device that I have does help me live, because it would have been early February, I would have passed away. Because, like I said, it's just so quick, right? You die so quick, right? Without like this kind of medical intervention that I got. Yeah.
So, Matt, did you want to answer her question? Do you remember what your question was?
The question is about how much do you think of mortality in relation to your condition?
Most of the time, I don't think too much of it. I mean, there's certainly been like certain experiences with surgery or random other things that happen that, would make me think about it, but most of the time I don't, no.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So can I just say one thing before you introduce the volunteers? So in the class, As I understand SOCIA 19, obviously one of the main things that you all look at is culture. And what makes up culture? Don't worry, I'm not going to go too far.
No, go ahead. No.
And one of the things that we know about culture is that there's always a minority group, and meaning in terms of numbers, in a culture, right? So if everybody's doing X, there's always a group that's doing something like Y or operating in a particular way. And so one of the things to just keep in mind as we're having this conversation is to what degree are we talking about a minoritized experience, and what are the similarities and differences with other minority experiences in our lives or in the things that you study here. So just keep that in mind as we're talking, because that's part of what this is about.
Hey, so thank you, gentlemen. Let's start with...
Maybe just introduce yourself and just maybe your relationship to disability. I mean, I don't know if we're going to use that word today, disability, but I'm not sure that's the right word. Does that work for you, Matt? Is that a word that you relate to? Maybe not.
Say it again, sorry.
Do you use the word disability?
Yes.
And what about you?
I do too.
Okay, so something about you and how you relate to disability.
If you relate.
To what?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm Allison. I'm a senior majoring in finance, and to follow up all that, I don't really have a disability or hardcore health problem at all in my whole life, so kind of different situation there.
So you come with fresh eyes.
Yes, I do.
That's awesome.
All
right, cool.
Hi, my name is Aaliyah, and I'm a sophomore. I'm studying dietetics. I don't really have I have asthma. It's not that bad, but for my major is to help people who have bad health with food. So when I see people with disabilities or something like that, I feel like I respect that. They want to see life. They want to live like how both of them are. So I feel like it's amazing. Honestly, I want to help people to push forward and just don't stop, And yeah, I just want to help.
Cool. And you're from Kuwait, right?
Yeah, I'm from Kuwait, sorry.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Hi, I'm John. I'm a freshman studying computer science. I wouldn't really say I have any experience with long-term disability. I was on crutches during the summer, so getting around campus, all that, that was pretty tough. But I wouldn't say that was not a long-term thing that defined me.
But you have some insight.
I have a little bit of insight about the experience of, I have to see the world that I'm living in a different way. Like, for example, I'm getting from one place to another. When I'm just walking on my two legs, it's I just walk there or bike there, whatever have you. But then when you're on crutches, it's do they have an elevator, or do I have a friend that can help me up the stairs? Stuff like that.
Yeah, it's intense. What's so fascinating for me, so I used to be when I was a graduate student at Rutgers University, I was the faculty advisor to the Rutgers Handicapped or Disabled Student Association. It was called Rutgers Handicapables. And so I've had...
Can you say that name again? It's such a good name.
Handicapables, yeah. It was actually created by a student of mine who was a freshman who was paralyzed from the shoulders down. So my very first semester teaching there, or my second semester, he was in my class, and then I got recruited in to be the faculty advisor. But just had a lot of really fascinating experiences, that I never would have had, and just took me to a very different level. So I'm gonna come back. We're gonna come back to the two of you for a second, and then we're gonna open it up here. And so initially, when I thought, I just had the ideas look, in this class, because Matt, you sit down in the front here, which means that everyone in the class can see you. And everyone in the class, I don't know if there's anyone in this class who, there probably are a few people who haven't noticed you, but people note you and have seen you, right? And how is it that to know that, and I know that everybody has a question. Like if I ask each person a question, everybody would have a question for you. How is it for you to know that people see you and are curious about you?
I mean, I don't really have any thoughts on that. I mean, I'm always open for people to ask questions or whatever, but, you know, if they don't want to ask questions, like, I couldn't care.
Because it's so interesting, right? Because for Aliyah, people see you're hijabi. So people have a lot of questions for Aliyah. But there are a number of hijabi women in here.
I was just going to say just curiosity.
Just curiosity,
whether they ask
right?
or not.
So they just a curiosity, and so it's a thing. But people might see your bag. Nothing against you, Allison, but I doubt people look at you and really say, like, oh, I got a question for her, right? And same with you, John, right? But for the two of you, more so. And it's just kind of,
Although, it's one thing that's really interesting about culture,
Yeah.
right, is when you say that about Allison, just using Allison for an example, there are places that Allison could go
Yep.
that people would be like, where are you from?
Yeah.
Who are you? I have questions for you, right? Because you would stand out, because you wouldn't look like everybody else in that space. So it's very contextual, right? Nobody would be interested in Matt just visually if you were surrounded with the Handy Capable organization. They'd be all, different reasons, but...
You know, one time we went to a conference in Miami. There were a lot of students in the organization. We all went to a conference at this hotel in Miami. And there were it was a massive hotel, like 5,000 rooms kind of thing, right? There were easily 1,000 people in wheelchairs. And it's like...
1,000 people, what did you say?
In wheelchairs.
In wheelchairs.
Like nobody's using wheelchairs, right? You wouldn't stand out at all. You just would be another person. Like, so you might stand out to other people who maybe have your condition or disease or whatever, but really it's not. Yeah. Okay.
I just think that's important when we're talking about culture.
Completely.
Right?
Completely.
Right.
Like, I've been Lori and I both have been in Kuwait, have been in Qatar, we've been in the Emirates, we've been like, I know what it's like to be in a room like this where, like we're two of the only Westerners, and there are, 100 or 200 hijabi women, and just like how normal that is, and how you fit right in, and it's like, okay, here it is. But Lori's not. Lori's the only one in the room who's not wearing a hijab, and like.
Honestly, there are some people who have questions, some don't, because luckily in State College there's a lot of hijabis around and a lot of different cultures. So this is very nice for me. Sometimes, so I'd always go to the IM. You'd always see me there. Sometimes when I'd exercise, they'd be like, oh, I've never seen a hijabi exercise or weight lift or something like that. And I'm like, no, we do that. And I love that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like that.
It's just so fascinating. It's so normal, right? It's I think what both of you were saying. It's just so okay. Do you have a quick response? Do you have a response, or we open it up?
Yeah. I just have a quick point to add. You were mentioning about for example, if Matthew going to something, there's 1,000 other people with wheelchairs. It doesn't seem different, or when you're working with people who are medical or something like that. To them, it's not any different to what they're used to.
Yeah.
Right. And when I was in the hospital, right, there would be these doctors around me that would just be like, oh yeah, you can get a heart transplant. We'll give you this heart pump. We'll put a metal pump on your heart. Right? And to them it was normal, right? And I'd see kids walking down the hallway as well who would have one of these, right? By the way, when I go out in public and anybody is wearing any strap around their shoulder, kind of how I am, right? I always think in my head, oh, they have one. And I realize that's just how my mind was when I was in the hospital, if you know what I mean. Right?
Yeah.
But I just kind of want to relate that back to when I was in the hospital, right? How normal it is and how different it is.
And you were in the hospital for 3 months, right?
It was almost 3 months, yeah.
And you hang on, can I say this?
Of course.
I think.
Yeah.
Wait,
Go ahead. Yeah.
weren't you the valedictorian of your class?
So I was gone from school for 4 months, from the end of January to very late May when I came back for like 2 weeks. And I was, not trying to brag, but I was still the valedictorian of my class.
Wow.
Right? And gave the valedictorian speech.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's intense. Right. I'm just going to skip out for 4 months, but
Yeah, that's right.
I'll still be
What does
on
that say
top.
about school?
It says school's irrelevant. Is what it says.
Right, you know? It's
Hey,
just
so
like, do nothing.
let's open it to the three of you. What questions do you have do you want to ask it?
Well, I want to start with Allison. Yeah, and do you have a question off the top of your head, or do you need more guidance?
Probably a little more guidance.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
hang on. I'm going to help you real fast. Are there certain questions that would be
Off limits?
off limits?
No, I literally can't get offended. It's fine.
Wait, I should ask Chris. Are there any questions that would be off limits for this guy? Something tells me that Chris, you guys have asked. You probably have asked a lot of questions. Push it up. Yeah.
As long as he cool, I'm cool. If he cool with it, I'm cool with it. If he not cool with it, then I'm not cool with it. So
Wait.
ask whatever question
So, Chris,
you need.
wait, let me ask you a question. Have you asked Matt any questions about his condition, or have you had any long conversations about it?
I probably did. I just don't remember.
Have you?
I don't think so. No.
Ah, okay. That's
Okay.
I mean, what I'm getting from you is you're relating just like you relate to anybody else, right? You don't have to know how's your body working to your other friends, and you're like, oh, I do the same thing with this friend.
Exactly.
Okay.
Me and Chris got on pretty quickly. By like day 4, we were out at Geary, and we had a line of like those 4 or 5 rolly chairs. And
pulling
we
us
went
on the back of his
outside,
chair.
and I was launching them across campus, like going full speed, like throwing them into stuff. It was great.
Yeah, it was funny. It was fun as hell. Yeah. He took us to the commons and everything. We all just held on the back of the chairs and held on the back of his, and he just drove us around. It was fucking hilarious.
I passed my RA like 4 or 5 times. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, don't ask.
All right, Mom. Okay.
So we're going to just assume that anything that you might be curious about, probably you wouldn't ask, like our friend Chris here. So do you want to say anything about that before?
Yeah, actually, I guess if I have to ask like a question, just like hearing all this like conversation is, do you ever get treated differently because of your condition, like once people find out, and do you ever get kind of like annoyed because of it, like don't like belittle me kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's not really sort of a belittling thing at all, but it's more like people figure out about my condition, I tell them, right? And then they kind of are like, oh, they're more soft to me. I don't know how to describe it. The more acting like I'm more fragile than I already am. Right, you know, and that can be a little bit annoying, but usually that kind of stops. And that's usually with people that I meet, and then I might never meet again, like someone on campus, like for example, who I probably never will talk to again, right?
But once you're friends with somebody or close to them, you're going to be annoying just like anybody else, and they're not going to treat you with soft gloves.
Right, that's right, yeah. And the friends I already had beforehand, that was a way different thing. My friends I had before I got sick, and then they kind of saw what happened to me. They kind of were on that journey second-handedly as well, you know. But that's kind of like a different thing. But that's the only thing that really annoyed me.
But really quick before Matt answers, but you did say, I thought I heard you say that if you get really stressed, your heart can go into, I think you said like a death spiral or something, right?
That was more so like me talking about like heart failure in general in humans, right? How it's kind of like, I kind of view it as like, it's almost like it's not a genetic defect. It's kind of just like a defect with our species, it feels like.
Yep,
when people go into heart failure and it causes a death spiral, it's going to kill you.
Got you. Hey, so Matt, Allison's question, which do you remember the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, there's definitely times where, you know, people see me and they, you know, feel bad for me to belittle me, which has its pros and cons. Like pros being, a couple years ago, me and my dad were going to a Princeton hockey game, and I had like broke my foot somehow because I think he like dropped me and landed on it or something, and so I was in the back, and we were driving, and he was flying. He was going like 30 over, and we got pulled over, and the officer comes to the front door, and my dad's like, "I'm so sorry, officer. I have a son in the back in a wheelchair. I'm just trying to help him out. Just look at him. He's in the wheelchair right there." And I took my eyes off the road. I had to fix his foot. And I was like, "Okay, you're good. Just a warning."
Yeah.
So like that helps.
Your favor.
But the cons are being like, I'll be at like a restaurant, and like I'll be ready to order my food, and when I go to order, they'll look at like my parents for them to order for me, and it's like, all right, like I'm not that stupid,
Like they think that there's a cognitive
Yeah.
problem,
Yeah.
not just a physical problem.
Exactly.
But is that after you've spoken already, or before?
To the waiter?
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah.
So they automatically assume it.
Yep, got you. Do people keep doing that sometimes, even after you've spoken, that they still can't break that cycle?
Rarely. Every once in a while, though, yeah.
Yeah, because you have a really present personality. I mean, present, not pleasant, pleasant too, but present. Like you were really there. So you like you have intense. You have energy.
Yeah.
So that would be. Did you get some answers? Aaliyah, how about you? Or John, whichever one of you wants to go.
But I just want to point out before we get to your question, and you were first, so it's totally understandable. But it was kind of safe, right? You didn't challenge anything of like, I'm curious about, where you wouldn't know if they would answer, right? Even though they both said they would answer anything. So I just want, no shade, but just.
No, it's actually, it's a really thoughtful question, because as somebody who I remember back to all of my time, with the organization, that was a thing that was the thing that was on people's minds all the time. And my one,
what was the thing that was on their mind?
just being looked at with pity or something. And my one friend, he would sit in his chair, and when he had to wait for someone, he'd be in public, he would take his hat off or put his hat on his lap and just sit there. And there were a lot of times when people would come by and put money in his hat, and he's just like, "Yeah, okay, go for it." You know what I mean? There are all these fun games that people play. So, okay, John or Aaliyah?
Are there things that you feel like you can do because of your condition that you don't think you'd be able to do if you didn't have it?
I skip so many lines, it's not even funny. like growing up, like going to Disney and stuff, like they just look at you and you're like, "Oh, you're good," and you skip past like 200 people. It's great.
But did you mean like talents or abilities that he has?
I mean that too, but I mean also like experiences as well.
That would be. Can I add that question though to the ability? Are there abilities that you have that you wouldn't otherwise have? You think?
I mean, I know how to drift on ice, if that works.
You know what?
Drift.
I don't get it.
Drift on ice.
Drift.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, that's.
Aaliyah knows what that is. Kuwaitis drift, man. They're serious drifters. Right? Am I right? Arab men, you all drift hardcore, man. Can you explain what that is?
I guess it's just kind of, you go fast and then you try to turn, but not too. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's really hard to explain.
Drifting, like sliding.
Yeah.
In its chair.
Sliding. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're saying you do that in your chair?
Yeah.
On ice?
Yeah.
How about something that you see? I'm going to switch, John. I'm going to just slightly change your question. How about something that you see, and then we're going to go to you, Kevin. Something that you see that you wouldn't, that probably a lot of these people here, or including me, don't see. Is there anything that you?
Curbs. Yeah. You just kind of, like growing up in a wheelchair, you just have to really watch out for where you're going. Because when I was little and still learning how to drive a wheelchair, there were definitely a couple cases where I wasn't looking, and I just kind of sent it right off the curb. But you learn off of that.
Wait, have you always been in a wheelchair, though?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't know life without a wheelchair?
I mean, like, I got my first wheelchair when I was 5, but so I don't remember much of it before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gavin, were you going to answer?
Yeah, there's definitely some things that are kind of perks, if you will, right? About having these kind of conditions. Whenever there is, let's say, like an option for like accessible or like quicker lines, for example, and sometimes I do generally feel tired because of my condition, right? And the medicines I have to take every morning, right? So that is technically an actual disability. And although I may be able to do something that people who use non-accessible like things, right, can do, I have the luxury to be able to tell people, I have a heart issue, right? Or my parents to say, my son has a heart issue, and then we can maybe, let's say, like get through a line quicker, or do something sort of similar to what Matthew said, right?
So I have a realm. Do you have a?
I just want to ask, can you repeat again, like what's the bag for?
I'm sorry, what?
What's the bag for?
So basically, when I say about my heart pump, obviously this is not my heart pump. The pump's in my heart, obviously, right? But this pack
That's not obvious, by the way. That's not obvious.
It's not. No, it's not obvious. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Definitely not right. But it's this pack that I carry is the batteries that power the device, right? There's actually a white cord. I don't know if you see this down here. I don't know if you can see it. But that white cord goes into my body, under where my finger is right now. Like it goes in and literally powers it, right? And I also, on top of that, no one will be able to see this, but I have a little controller here as well that I can check, like things about the device right now. I could see how much blood is flowing in my heart, or a few other things I can see as well. So yeah, that's basically what it is.
Because I wanted to ask, like, have you went to places where they're like, oh, we can't bring the bag along or somewhere?
Can you repeat the first part?
Sorry, I wanted to ask, like, have you went to places, I'm just curious, like where they told you can bring it along or something like that?
So this bag has to stay with me all the time. I have literally not been anywhere without this bag on my shoulders since it's February 28th when I got this.
Has anyone ever said, oh, you can't bring your bag in?
Well, there have been security things I've gone through, but I have to tell them this bag has to stay on me because it literally can't leave. Like it physically cannot leave. The cord goes into my body. The cord is basically is attached to the batteries, right? So it's literally, it's not. There have been people that have said, right, like when I go through security or something, right, can you remove that bag, please? But then I explain to them and show them that this is actually a medical device, and then they obviously have to let me. They literally have to by law.
So Matt, how about you? And with Aaliyah's question, have you run into any obstacles with people getting in? Yeah, just.
I don't think there's really been any cases where they're like, you're not allowed to bring your wheelchair into somewhere. But like when I go to take a plane somewhere, the people who load my wheelchair on to the plane have the mental capacity of a 2-year-old. Yeah. So they don't know what they're doing at all.
They don't know what?
How many have you broken? How many have they broken?
2 have been damaged pretty bad.
When we came back from Florida on the one trip, one of the wheelchairs we had with us was an electric chair like yours, was absolutely destroyed, and another one was damaged. Same thing. Yeah. By the way, airline workers out there, can you just pay attention? Pay attention. Man.
Everybody has a hard job, right?
Yeah, everyone has a hard job.
Okay. Can we just float some topics into the space, like dating, family relationships, things that are sort of, you know, you can have friends, but they don't realize some of the, maybe the word suffering even. I know you probably, you know, neither of you maybe want to lead with that, but what are some questions? Allison, you have something in that.
I mean, I kind of thought about that. I had like 2 questions, but I mean, I guess the first one I could go, which I don't
Can I
mean.
just also say, this isn't you, Allison, but you can't see Allison.
I can, a little, yeah.
But it feels like we should move out a little more because this isn't, I know there's a camera
No, it's good.
But
Yeah.
I know that you can't turn as much and then you can't see who's talking to you. Is that better?
Yeah.
for
That's
you?
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, is that all right?
I guess like not to bring bad feelings up, but do you, I guess in relation to dating or even just in general, do you ever have like resentment or anger, like insecurity because of your disability?
I mean, being in a wheelchair isn't the biggest chick magnet. So on that end, not super successful. But there's really no like bad feelings behind it necessarily, no.
But wait,
Yeah, can you say more, like, what do you mean
yeah,
bad feelings?
how did you get there?
What do you mean?
How'd you get to like no bad feelings? Because I you know,
Like, I don't, like, just sit in my room all day and be pissy that I can't pull, you know? Like, I've just accepted that fate right now.
Do you have hope you'll pull?
Yeah, maybe eventually, yeah, we'll see.
wait, so do you have more you want to say or ask?
I mean, that kind of covers it. Do you have any?
Wait, no,
take
hang
it?
on. Do you have a follow-up, though? It's fine if you do.
I don't think so right now.
Okay.
But can I add just something that you were sharing about the nursing care that you have, right? Is just 24/7.
Yeah.
So when someone is in a relationship with you, they're also going to be in a relationship with other people as well, right? Or how does that, just to like being a little more practical about how that works.
What do you mean in relationship?
Meaning like if you were a girlfriend or boyfriend and you were with them, they'd also have to be, your nurses are pretty close by, right?
Yeah, but like there hasn't been any scenarios so far where I'm like bringing a chick home from frat row or something like that. So, like, we haven't encountered that problem yet, no.
So far, though. Let's
So far,
emphasize
so far.
Yeah, I have a lot of stories I could tell, my friend. I got a lot of stories I can tell. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Go ahead, Gavin. Do you want to just like talk about that same realm?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't, when it comes to like dating and certain kinds of relationships, there hasn't really been too much of like a block between, you know, me doing that and then someone who doesn't have this device doing that, right? There hasn't really been that, like, I haven't really felt really divided.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I've really felt separate from my peers who don't have these kind of things, right? But there is kind of like that a little bit of an internal emotional side to that, right? Like kind of you feel maybe a little bit sometimes that maybe this condition that I got in January, right? Maybe it took away things that I would have had, right? Maybe I would have been here mid-September, late September, and would have been a better person, would have been a more successful person than I would have been if I didn't get that. But that's a really negative way to think about it, because if I didn't get this device, you know, I mean, I'd either be still in the hospital or worse off or just not here, period. Right? You know, like I mean that grimly, right? You know, but it's kind of realistic.
No, it's,
so, I mean,
it's actually
yeah.
very realistic.
Yeah.
There's a
right.
question
Yeah.
or comment?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Okay, so I have 2 questions. Gavin, this is like a really quick one. What does it feel like if someone tugs on the cord that's like inside of your body?
Oh, yeah. It is exactly what you would imagine, right? For real. This cord, like you can picture it. Picture how that would feel, right? Something tugging inside of your body.
Does that
this goes around organs, right, in a certain pattern, so it doesn't disrupt anything. But in theory, if you took off, we call this a dressing, what goes over it, so that it doesn't get infected. But if you took that dressing off and you like really tugged at it, it's something I joke with my mom about because she gets so grossed out when I tell her. But I'm used to that idea, right? You know, I just don't do it, right? Because it's like so obvious, right? So it's exactly what you would imagine, and you're not the only person who's wondered that. Don't worry.
Before you ask your second question, just also when you say that about the dressing and the cord, I don't know what you call it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call that white thing?
The cord?
White, is it cord?
That's called a drive line.
Line?
That's the medical term for the cord itself, right? So.
It also, when you described that you have a dressing, which is like an open wound, really. This is not a long-term solution.
It's not.
And so I just want to honor that when, I mean, both of you are talking in very offhanded, casual ways, which is also part of your life. But it's also, that's just one of those moments where it's like, wow, this can't go on for a long time.
That's right. So just to finish off on when you ask about the dressing, it's literally, it would be an open wound, it would be a technical open wound if you didn't have that dressing on, right? It's sterilized and it's just made in a way that is to prevent you from getting infected, because you could actually develop a heart infection because microorganisms could climb the cord and the cord does go to the heart. So there's a high contingency for that. But
so you had a second?
Yeah, and then my second question is there like anything that you guys that's like so normalized that you can't do that you wish you could? Like, I don't know, like drinking a bunch of caffeine and like pulling all-nighters and going to frat parties and stuff like that.
Dude, can I ask you, Pro, have you been to a frat party?
No, not yet, no.
Not yet?
Not yet. Soon.
Are you allowed to go, like from just medically? Are you allowed to just roll into, I mean, in terms of your schedule and your health care and...
I mean, if you're asking, am I allowed to get shit-faced, like, yeah.
You are. That's not what I was asking.
Like legally, no.
No, hang on, no.
Legally, no.
But there are a bunch of people up here, though, who are right now thinking, like, all right, we got to invite this guy. It's like, what's it like when you're shit-faced?
No, that's not what I really was asking.
I'm not asking for you. I'm asking for them.
I actually looked it up a couple weeks ago. I can technically get a DUI. And like, that's like my ultimate goal.
That's your goal?
That's my goal. That'd be so sick.
I remember.
Wait. Now I understand.
Yeah, the goal.
Now I understand why you don't want your parents watching. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, so you're saying if you went to a frat party and then you were rolling down frat row, the police could technically give you a DUI?
I don't think they would.
Right, you could use
they
you
could.
Don't want to test it.
Dude, no, actually, you do want to test it. That would be awesome, man.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like, of all the things, the crazy things that I've heard about on frat row, and I'm not going to tell some of the stories here, but that would be one of the awesomest, actually. Yeah.
That would make headlines for sure.
Yeah. All right. Do you have another? Can you?
This one is for Galvin. Did I get it right?
I'm sorry, what? You say Galvin?
Gavin.
It's Gavin. Yeah, Gavin.
Galvin.
No, without
Gavin.
the L.
Gavin.
Dude, I'm so
Gavin.
glad that after I destroyed your name the other day so many times, I'm so glad that you missed his name. All
right. So it's Galvin.
Gavin.
All right. Well, all right. You don't even have to answer this if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But how do you sleep with the bag on?
Actually, I don't. I don't sleep with this bag on. See, these, just like any battery, right? I'm attached to 2 batteries right now. Just like your phone's battery or whatever has to be charged, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I only wear this in the daytime when I'm not like sleeping. But when I go to sleep, what I do is I literally unhook from the 2 batteries that are in this pouch, and I plug into a device that allows me to use the electricity from the wall. I'm literally plugged into the wall at night. Really? Literally. Like you plug a phone and you also plug me in at night. Literally. Like I'm not even kidding. Literal.
Just to add on to that.
Wait, what were you saying, Matt?
Just to add on to that. To just finish my question.
Yeah.
So, are you able to play sports or anything like that? Can you work out?
I can play sports, and I do actually. I work out every day, but I need to be careful when I do those things, though, because some of the medicine I take basically drains my fluid way quicker, right? I need to drink more water than the average person to stay hydrated, right? So when I exercise, not only do I need to drink more water in general, but I need to drink more water, obviously, when I'm exercising. So I can do those things. It's just more, I just need to be more careful, right?
We have a question from the stream? Not yet? All right. G, you have a question? Right in the front row. All right, Mom.
This question is directed towards Matthew, but Matthew, so like I'm sure like you went through a lot like growing up and like what you've been through, but when did it sort of hit you that you can be normal and sort of like just express yourself how you are?
I mean, it's kind of a difficult question. I would say in the last, let's say since like freshman, sophomore year of high school, it kind of hit me that some of my dreams are not possible. But I always kind of knew growing up that there was certain things I wouldn't be able to do. So, yeah.
So freshman, sophomore year in high school. Yeah. It's so interesting, right? Like you're you. You've always been you.
Yeah.
And that's what in you is just normal for you. That's what's so fascinating.
Can I ask with that in mind?
Yeah.
Because you have all of these people who are not like you, not you, right? Who are curious. What do you is there something that you could imagine or wish that would be different from the rest of us or the world that would make your life more of what you'd like it to be?
I guess it would just be like don't be afraid to approach people, I guess.
Can you give examples of what's a typical thing that happens that you're like, oh God, if you guys would just, X, don't be afraid to approach me. What's the kind of stuff that happens that you feel you can see on a regular basis?
I mean, I'll take an invite to frat row any day of the week, yeah.
Wait.
I'll take an invite to frat row any day of the week.
I have a feeling you're going to get one, but
yeah. I have a feeling you're going to report back.
And you're going to have to do a lot of Jello shots and God knows what. But
wait, can I just go back? This is like the mom in me that wants to say, okay, but seriously, and Gavin, I'm sure you have the similar thing. Yeah, I mean, you can go to frat parties and all of that stuff, but you must have some things that are like, no, you can't drink the same way somebody else would. Not that it's not dangerous for anybody else, but are there things that you would have to really be mindful of, or your nurses would be like,
Nothing coming to mind right now.
Really?
I don't know. That's a deep question. I don't know.
Seriously, what makes it a deep question?
I don't know. I haven't given a lot of thought to that.
Pardon?
I haven't gave a lot of thought to that.
Okay, so you're just being you, just like everybody else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You're a bro. Yeah, you're a bro.
Sure.
Yeah. I love that.
Similar to you? Do you have?
Yeah. I do have a few things that are similar to that. Like first of all, fun fact. Something I forgot to mention this earlier, but something I am exempt from that. For some people, it would be a really freaking good thing, but for me, it's just not. I mean, for me, it's just not because of whatever. Like, I need to be careful eating salads. Fun fact, literally, I take some medications where I cannot consume vitamin K, right? Which, or big amounts of it, could actually cause me to have a blood clot, which can cause me to have a stroke. But besides that, I don't need to eat a bunch of leafy greens, or I should not eat a bunch of leafy greens, right? What was you also mentioned?
I was just thinking alcohol. There's probably
you have
alcohol
as well. Actually, I can joke about getting wasted or whatever it is, right? You know, but like for when it comes to like an actual thing, I cannot drink alcohol because it would actually damage my kidneys extremely bad because of the medication that I take.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So
fun fact.
Can we?
Not fun.
this is a question from the stream.
You can see it back there, but
I don't know, Matt, can you see that?
Yeah.
I have a hard time seeing that.
so we found that in life, when something about us is removed, like a disability is created because of the duality of life, something else is elevated. What do you feel is your superpower?
I feel like it's similar.
That's similar, John, what you said, right? What's a superpower? You know, remember when I said, like, what do you see or what do you understand about life? The two of you, that when I said see, it's more this. Like, what do you understand about some things that maybe other people that you understand?
I think it's a good question. What's your superpower?
You want to go first?
I guess my superpower is just being able to take whatever shit is thrown my way, which takes somewhat of a mental battle, but I deal with it pretty easily. Just yeah.
No, I think I don't want to understate that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm just looking around at all of you, thinking of what things we struggle with, right? Every day, or the things that get in our way that really stop us, right? And if you have the ability to navigate those things, that's light years beyond a lot of people that haven't had the same kinds of challenges, you know?
And Gavin, really,
can I just, do you mind if I just go to these folks before?
That's fine, yeah.
Because I want to, like, I feel like you might be getting more of your thoughts together, so yeah, you want to.
Oh, so looking forward after you graduate, are there things that you feel like, maybe it's like getting a job or, I don't know, getting insurance, whatever. Are there things that you feel like you guys won't be able to do because of your condition that you think other people will be able to do?
I mean, there's definitely certain things, but I think, you know, it's not as much as what you think, because, I mean, you can, like, genuinely achieve anything as long as you, like, put more effort towards it. So I don't think there's anything big, no.
That's an interesting statement, because it's something that I hear a lot from people who are minoritized, right? I have to work harder. We have to work harder than everybody else to achieve the same level as whatever is the norm, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's just interesting.
Yeah.
There's no moral statement to that.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's true.
So, do you have a question?
So my mother has a nerve issue, so she has a battery pack that's actually was surgically implanted inside of her that runs an internal stim unit. So I was wondering if, in regard to like your condition, Gavin, if there was some sort of internal battery or some other sort of machine that would handle the situation in the same way.
Yeah, that's a great question. I went to the Children's Hospital Philadelphia, right, CHOP, that's how it's abbreviated. And this was the primary way that they would treat kids or young adults with the condition that I have. This is called an LVAD, by the way. Everyone knows. Everyone even cares. But and that's there are some other methods, some other like technological methods you could use to like reduce heart failure in this way. But this is the primary one because of how effective it is, right? Although I mentioned earlier about like mortality and stuff like that, these devices are actually less than 5 years. Like these have been around for less than 5 years. So technically, when I say that, that's like when I said what I said earlier, that's kind of being negative, right? Because we don't actually know how good these are yet. What we do know is that they have helped some kids not need a heart transplant, which is what most likely I'll need, but rather get an explant of this device, right? So to answer your question though directly, though, there are some other devices, particularly for babies. It's called a Berlin device, right, which is like similar to this, basically, but for babies.
Bro, so I'm thinking that if you were my age, if you were born the year I was born, you wouldn't be here, basically.
I would either not be here or I would also have one of these devices?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would just keep it for the rest of my life instead of getting a heart transplant.
Yeah. Can you go to the next? Can
I ask quickly?
Just really fast. Wait, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to ask quickly, like, since this isn't long term, and not to bring it up, but like the whole mortality conversation.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If you get that heart transplant, is the situation solved or is it ongoing?
No. So the short answer is no. The long answer is anytime anybody can get any organ transplant, they will most likely need another replacement of that organ within 10 to 15 years after they get that transplanted, because either their bodies will outgrow that organ that they got, or that organ will outgrow their body, right? So in terms of heart, which obviously is all the organs are important, but the heart gives food, gives oxygen to everywhere in the body, right? So it's arguably more serious and a little bit more dire in that way, right? So it's like,
you answered the question.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be solved.
It's not. No.
I want to keep going because we have a lot of questions.
Okay.
Right. This is a guy, Stephen. He's from the UK. Do you wish you lived in another country where healthcare, like you didn't have to pay so much money for healthcare? Matt, we'll ask you that one.
I mean, that's not really a problem for me yet, because I've been fortunate enough where my parents and the insurance policy that we have, it covers everything. So like that doesn't really affect me in paying that money. So like I'm proud to be an American, and there's no place I'd rather be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just want to ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Have you met someone or like people in the same condition as you before?
Yeah. While I was in the hospital, like I said earlier about how like to doctors and other kids and young adults that were in the same ward as me, everyone was kind of used to being in the company of other people who had this really rare stuff, right? So that was the only time I have ever met anyone else with the same condition or same device as me was there in the hospital. So yes, but not here like in society. It's been many months since I've seen anyone.
Can I just say?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question to Matt, but.
Okay, but I do want to say, just to acknowledge, and maybe, Allison, this goes back to what you said in the beginning, where you're like, I don't really have anything that I can relate to in terms of a disability myself. But I hope that as you're thinking about this, you also are thinking about the spectrum of disability, right? Because I think as a culture, maybe as a world, we've come to a place where we've started to say, wait a minute, there's these cognitive disabilities, learning disability, right? So there's a lot of conversation about what makes somebody outside the norm and what we need to do about that. So I just want to acknowledge that the two of you are reflecting for us one kind of experience, and there's a whole spectrum of experiences that I bet we could have a very different conversation if we kept talking, right? But you wanted to ask Matt that.
No, just have you met someone? How many people have you met with your disease?
I mean, I've seen a good amount of people, but I only actually am really close friends with one. I used to play power wheelchair hockey, and that was everyone in wheelchairs, so I knew more people through that. I mean, I gave that up a couple of years ago because like the practices and games were like 2.5 hours away, so it became unmanageable with like, both my siblings playing sports and whatever. And
Wait, how many siblings do you have?
2, both younger.
Dude, it feels like power wheelchair hockey would be like rugby. It'd be really brutal.
It's some crazy shit sometimes, yeah.
Yeah? Have you fallen? Have you?
Like, it's all based upon, like, kind of who has the faster wheelchair. So I remember in my last ever game, I just got a new one, and it was fast as hell. And so, like, prior to that game, like, I wasn't much of a scorer. Like, in, like, the couple of years, I had only scored, like, 1 goal ever. And in that one game, I had 3 goals and 3 assists. Like, I literally turned to prime Wayne Gretzky. Like, it was crazy shit, yeah. I was like throwing people into the wall. It was great.
Boys will be boys.
Yeah.
Hey, Lori Land. Hey, I think we have to do the quiz and then.
Yep. So Sam wanted to say the title of the class.
Yeah.
Right. So we just want to say really quickly. So I don't know if Sam knows the title, but we talk a lot about objectification, and we don't usually talk about the opposite of that, which I think we should call subjectification, right? How do we make people into subjects, or how do we allow people to be subjects instead of objects? And so the intention of this conversation was to make, or to invite...
To subjectify.
Yeah, is to subjectify. So how can we do that with all kinds of others?
Dude, so applause. Thanks to everybody.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Also, hey, if you want to register to vote, come down to the front. Today is the day to do that. We got lots of folks here who will get you registered.
Turning somebody into an object is like, sort of one-dimensionalizing or two-dimensionalizing.